If you think those in charge of you are always going to tell you the truth, well, it goes back to common sense. It ain't so common anymore, is it? You get it?
You, if you watch like the Virginian and stuff like that, I believe his name was Arlo. It was one of the first ones. It was called a walk and draw. You walked and fire, and then you would go from that position. This is called the tether. Can't come out. I've had guys come up behind me and try to pull my guns out. Won't work because they're tethered. Oh man, you got it tethered. Absolutely. You start running. Seen old westerns where they did that take off running, and the gun falls out. And the next scene, the gun's back in the holster. What? You untether it, right? When you're riding a horse in a mounted shooting situation, you shoot right-handed, so you shoot 5 bullets down, put your gun in your holster, and then you go for the other side. You can untether it. This one's a little harder than the other one, I guess. You got 5 more rounds, right? This also has a safety block. This is called the Ruger Vaquero. That kind of a grip, I always thought it was a silly thing when I was young because I didn't see it much. Now I get it. This particular gun, all you do is open the gate and you can turn the cylinder. You don't have to cock it at all. Locks when it's in that position. So, point in case is what I'm really after today. There is single action, of which all these are, that I have here with me today. There is double action, which would be your automatics. A lot of guys will shoot like this and try to be cool. And that I guess if you want to say cool, but they can jam. It is the exhaust of the gas that causes it to eject and go back. I have one that is considered a 1911 style Sig Sauer. The first round has to be cocked. Then it goes into double action. So it's single double. Some guys will argue over that. Check it out. It's the way it works. You cock it, you put the safety on and put it in your holster and tether it. When you pull it out, you kick off the safety, the first round, then the gas, and then it's automatic after that. Double action. So, here's the point. You cock it. This gun will not, I could lay it on a table for 20 years and it will never go off unless a human touches it. Pull the trigger, hammer goes down. Now, you'll see them fan sometimes. If you already have that trigger back when you're cocking it, it'll go off. It will not go off unless the trigger is pulled. What? That's right. If someone says they didn't pull the trigger, that's not true. Because it won't go off until you release that hammer with the trigger. I left reenactment because of people, and they had done some pretty crazy things. And like I say, even with blanks, from a distance of 10 foot, you can blind somebody, you can burn the mustache off, you can fry their face with a blank. With a real bullet, it's a different situation. The one that I just had in my hand has what I call a hair trigger. I now have it on a 15 degree, which is a lot of times what they do on a cross draw. You have to be more careful when you sit down because of where that's at, but you can, as you're sitting down, you move it. I was always taught down, up. My grandfather and my daddy always told me, and they taught us in the Boy Scouts, every gun is loaded. Oh, there's no bullets in it. You know how many people died every year for the last umpteen years with an unloaded gun because they pointed it at someone and pulled the trigger? I didn't know it was loaded. If you never point it at someone and pull the trigger, you'll never kill anybody. Don't lean it up against a fence. Don't lean your rifle up against that. Boy, my grandpa took my pellet rifle from me a few times and said, I'll put it up and we'll have a discussion. Okay. But I knew the rules. And sometimes as a kid, you do silly things and don't run with a gun. Be careful going up and down hills when you're coon hunting in the dark. Alcohol and firearms do not mix. Many guys, I've done it and drank and shot. But you just increased your chances of making a mistake tremendously. And then wake up the next day and go, I didn't even know I'd done that. Oh, I wouldn't do something like that. But you did. So, I just wanted to clarify that about the single action. Do you ever put 6 rounds in it with a safety block? You can. And when we would have our reenactments in the final shootout, most of us would put 6 in it. And you aim at the feet. I've got guys that will argue with me and say, I did aim at your feet. My wife videoed almost every time. And you can see in the videos when someone, because it's a natural thing, but you watch too much Hollywood cowboy movies. You really don't know anything about guns. I didn't used to know a whole lot myself. I've learned over the years. You can't be careful enough. When you go down the road with an easy rider rifle racket or whatever in your back of your truck or on your 4-wheeler and the guns land horizontal and you're going by traffic, probably won't. But if it ever did go off, you're going to kill somebody. Most of us don't want to do that. That's why you don't put your finger on the trigger until you do. I remember the first time that I actually killed something. And Grandpa was teaching me about shooting. And I shot a sparrow. I might have been a teenager. I don't think so. And I cried. Tears ran down my face and my grandpa said, that's good. That's good you feel that way. When he grew up, the only way they had meat was he and his brother would go out and great grandpa would give him a certain number of shells, let's say 5, and he said, you better come back with 5 rabbits, squirrels, combination, or the shells. Don't miss. Well, that's a lot of pressure because you can miss, but I've been hunting with him many times, and great grandpa. They weren't, if they didn't have the shot, they didn't take it. Now guys will go out and use an automatic and boom, 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 boom. I got him. Yeah, he's not edible. That's what they did it for. Meat. So, when someone tells you they have a single action, of which you have to cock and pull the trigger every time, and said they didn't pull the trigger, I question that. I think they may have thought they hadn't. That one there, I've used wax bullets. There is a thing that, for fast draw, I've done that, and I go by myself. It's a wax bullet and just a primer, no powder in it. But when my holster was not on a 15-degree angle, and you're trying to learn how to pull that, cock it, and get it up, you can shoot the back of your leg. I've done it, and it hurts. It hurts a lot. When you have it on an angle, if you happen to go off, it's probably going to go out here in front of you somewhere. Open ranged, closed range. I don't know if you can see this or not, but in John Wayne, he always had a long bullet in there. That's a 45-70 I put in there. Buffalo, actually, the American bison is what that would be called technically. That's kind of like when I get in arguments with people about cowboys. Do you have any cows? I have a horse. I'm a cowboy. And a gun. That doesn't make you a cowboy. Cowboy. When they first started, they used what was called a prod, a stick, and they walked behind them. They didn't even have a horse. But they were cowboys because they had cows. They raised them. That's what makes a cowboy. There's a lot of horsemen. Very few cowboys. I hope this has been informative to you and you've learned something from it. Until the next time, this is Montana. May the good Lord take a liking to you.